What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again, and today we conclude our playoff series for now. As probably the Hawks aren't going to make the playoffs this year, nor have they made it last year, and this was the last series they've been in. So 2020 round one, a fluke if I may say so myself. The Hawks should not have been here. Since they beat Edmonton, they became the 8th seed in the playoffs, and Vegas, after winning the round robin, was the 1st seed. My two favorite teams going up against each other. I'd always wished it was in the conference final, not in the first round, but it was pretty fun to see. So, Blackhawks 72 points in 70 games, Vegas 86 points in 71 games in a pandemic-shortened season. And this was about the beating I thought it was going to be. I thought the Vegas was going to sweep them. All the reports saying Vegas sweep. I was saying Vegas sweep. Chicago managed to get one. They nearly got two. And if they were able to get the third one, that would have been shocking. Do I think they would have won the series? Well, that's the what if for another day. And, so yeah, let's get right into it. Game 1, they lose 4-1. Not surprising. No goals in the first, but Shea Theodore opens the scoring with his third of the playoffs. 2 minutes and 17 seconds later, it's William Carrier with his second of the playoffs to make it 2-0. And then on the power play, on the Vegas power play, David Kampf scores shorthanded with his first of the playoffs, 1 minute and 12 seconds later. That is all in a span of 3 minutes and 29 seconds in the second period. In the third, Riley Smith kicks in. He gets his first and second of the playoffs to make it 3-1 and 4-1. And that concludes Game 1 as Vegas takes a 1-0 series lead. Game 2, Hawks lose 4-3 in overtime. If they were able to get this game, I reckon the series could have been a bit more interesting. It would also have been taken a lot more seriously. Paul Stastny makes it 1-0 with his first of the playoffs, as he was acquired at the deadline that year by Vegas. I think that's the year it was, at least, because was he there the whole year? I think he was acquired at the deadline. Then Thomas Nosek makes it 2-0 with his first of the playoffs. And then in the second period, it's Kirby Dach and Dominic Kubalik that tie the game. Dach makes it 2-1 with his first ever playoff goal in his rookie year and his first of the playoffs. Dominic Kubalik gets his fourth of the playoffs after having a great performance in Edmonton. Against Edmonton, it's on the power play, makes it 2-2. Then Mark Stone responds to make it 3-2 with his third of the playoffs. Dylan Strome then on a fantastic passing play from Kane, DeBrincat, and Strome. It was literally tic-tac-toe and duked Leonard out. It was incredible to make it 3-3 with his second of the playoffs. So no goals are scored in the third, and I'm thinking if the Hawks can pull this off, just maybe this series could be interesting. But good things are not meant to happen as Riley Smith gets his third of the playoffs to make it 4-3 in overtime, and Hawks are now down 2-0 to Vegas, going technically going home, but not going home. They're wearing their home jerseys. Not really a difference. Game 3, Hawks lose 2-1 in a very tight game. See, I will say I do respect the Hawks for this. They made it close here, 1 goal. They won that game by 2, and then they lost by 3. So very close. It was overall a pretty decent series when you look at it like that. On watching it, though, it was pretty scary because you always knew Vegas could score at any moment, and you knew the Hawks were not. So Game 3, Hawks lose 2-1. William Karlsson scores shorthanded with his second of the playoffs. Then Patrick Brown gets on the board to make it 2-0 in the second with his first of the playoffs. Olli Maatta then scores with his third of the playoffs, and the third on a fluke goal. Fleury was in net that night. The only game Fleury was in net. What you had was 3 Hawks goaltenders. You had Leonard, you had Fleury, and you had Crawford all on the ice. So that's something you don't see every day. And Malcolm Subban was the backup for Chicago. So you had 4 Vegas goaltenders. Well, not 4. No, you had 4 Hawks goaltenders on the ice that night, and one of them was a future one, but whoever would have predicted that? So Olli Maatta makes it 2-1. Fleury would have had the shutout. Olli Maatta just shot it, bounced right off Fleury's glove and in. Pretty casual goal to give up by Fleury, but they win the game, so it's fine. So Vegas is now up 3-0, and the Hawks Game 4 come roaring back with a 3-1 victory. Drake Caggiula gets on the board with his first of the playoffs to make it 1-0, followed by Matthew Highmore, who gets his third of the playoffs. 18 seconds later, it's Shea Theodore with his fourth of the playoffs. No goals in the second, but in the third, it's Alex DeBrincat with his first ever playoff goal. It's an empty netter. This was the year DeBrincat had his slump. He had scored 40-something goals the year previous, and then he was on pace for 40, like 5 goals in 2021. This was the year he slumped, because if he didn't slump, they might have been able to do a more in the regular season and had a better chance of securing a better playoff spot. But then they would also been, well, I guess it was good they played against Edmonton, because Edmonton was a McDavid Draisaitl plays team and not a playoff team. So I guess it kind of worked out in their favor there. But if DeBrincat was on all cylinders the way he was in the 2019 or 2021 regular season, or even this year 2022, they would have been a lot better than what they were against Vegas. And who knows how that could have turned out. So yeah, the Hawks now are down 3-1, and then Game 5, it looks like they could steal one, as Jonathan Toews makes it 1-0 with his 5th of the playoffs, and then Alex DeBrincat responds with his 2nd of the playoffs to make it 2-0. So it's 2-0 Chicago, but a minute and 10 seconds later, at the end of the period, it's Max Pacioretty with his 1st of the playoffs to make it 2-1. In the second, Mark Stone ties it 2-2 with his 4th of the playoffs, but then Patrick Kane makes it with his 2nd of the playoffs, makes it 3-2 for Chicago. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they might be able to steal one here and force a Game 6, where they'd probably lose, but who knows. Alec Martinez then gets on the board to make it 3-3 with his 1st of the playoffs. And that ties the game, and Alex Tuch would score early in the 3rd. The Hawks had no response. He gets his 4th of the playoffs, and Vegas takes the series in 5. They win 4-3, and the Hawks' little Cinderella run was over. But by all means, I was impressed with them. They were able to beat Edmonton in 4. They lost to Vegas in 5, but they got one game out of them when most people thought they'd be swept by both Edmonton and Vegas. And they made the games close. That is, they made 2-1, 4-3, 4-3. They win 3-1. They lose 4-1. That was the only game that really got out of hand. And so we'll look at the series stats before we look at the playoff stats. Kane, 1 goal, 4 assists. That's supposed to say 5 points. I was about to say that 1 and 4 does not equal 6. So Kane has 5 points. DeBrincat, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. Caggiula, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. Yes, Juraj Caggiula was a top scorer for the Hawks this year in the playoffs. Well, in this series, I should say. Who would have thought that? Crawford, 1 and 4 with a .920 save percentage. This was Crawford's last hurrah. He would retire after this series. He would sign with New Jersey as a free agent, but he never played a game. He would retire a Blackhawk. This was kind of his last hurrah, as he stood on his head this series and made it close. On Vegas' side, Riley Smith, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. My favorite player on Vegas, Marchessault, 0 goals, 5 assists, 5 points. Alec Martinez, the Hawks' kryptonite, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. Leonard, 3-1 with a .905 save percentage. Fleury, 1-0 with a .963 save percentage. In the entire playoffs, Toews, 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points. Kane, 2 goals, 7 assists, 9 points. Kubalik, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. Mata, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. DeBrincat, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. Doc, 1 goal, 5 assists, 6 points. Crawford goes 4 and 5 with a .907 save percentage. A pretty decent way to end off your career, at least it was in the playoffs. And what we thought would happen, we would see Doc. We saw what Doc could do in the playoffs. We saw Kubalik. We thought he scored 30. He was a Calder finalist, 30 goals his rookie season. It was like 33 goals, I think. And then Mata would leave the next year. Crawford was gone. We didn't have a goalie until Lankinen came out of nowhere in 2021. Toews didn't play the next year, and everything kind of fell down. They did a lot better than expected. They went 24, 25, and 7, I think was their final record. So by all means, they were predicted to be one of the worst teams in the league. They were in the playoff hunt for a very long time, until the end, where they had to play Tampa, Florida, and Carolina on repeat, where they did well against Carolina, but could not beat Tampa, Florida, or Nashville. They could not beat Nashville. If they were able to beat Nashville, and they were able to beat Florida or Tampa maybe once or twice more, they could have made the playoffs and not choked against Carolina in 2 games straight. But it's recent times. I remember this very vividly. And this series, I was much older than 2017. I was 13 years old. 2020, I was already 16 years old. I think. Yeah, I was 16 years old during this playoff series. I think. No, I was 15, 16. I don't know. I think maybe 15. So I was 15 for this playoff series, so I knew what was going on at this point. So, yeah, that kind of concludes the series for now until next time, which who knows when the Hawks will make the playoffs again. It could be in 10 years. It could be in this year if they win 25 games in a row, starting with that Vegas game. So, speaking of Vegas. So, yeah, this concludes this series. We're going to go back to just BFRs from now on. I'm going to take a break, so doing all these videos is actually kind of takes up a lot of time, and I got work to do. I'm back in school. So, and with things heating up in and out of my life, it's going to see an interesting time to see what videos I'll put out next. BFRs will still be continuing. Hawks versus Columbus. Seth Jones returns to Columbus tomorrow night. I believe it's at 7, I think, 7 p.m. And my time, that is Central Time. That'll be 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Western Pacific Time. I don't know the Canadian time zones. I know there's like 5 or 6 up there, maybe 4 if I honestly don't know. And that has to be at least 5 because I have a friend that lives in like Newfoundland. But that's not the point here. And yeah, that's really all I have for you guys for the series for now. When the Hawks next make the playoffs and do a series, we'll do a review on it. NFL playoffs are going to start this weekend, so I'll be watching those for a bit as the Hawks kind of suck, but I will be watching the Hawks as well, so you don't have to worry about that. Other than that, that's all I have for you guys today, and I will see you guys next BFR. Playoff series are done for now, so yeah, goodbye.